US officials have confirmed to several media outlets the White House is carrying out strikes inside Venezuela tonight.
In the early hours of today, Caracas, the capital of Venezuela, witnessed a sudden and alarming series of events that sent shockwaves across the city and reverberated throughout the world. Residents reported hearing at least 7 powerful explosions, accompanied by the unmistakable sound of low-flying aircraft cutting across the skyline, while plumes of smoke were visible over key neighborhoods, prompting panic, confusion, and urgent social media coverage as terrified citizens captured videos and images of the chaos. The government of President Nicolas Maduro has yet to release an official statement regarding the cause of these explosions, leaving analysts, local journalists, and international observers to speculate on the nature of the incident, whether it reflects internal unrest, a military operation, or potentially a more concerning act of sabotage or foreign interference. Venezuela's political environment has long been characterized by deep polarization, economic instability, and frequent clashes between government forces and opposition groups. Over the past 2 decades, the country has undergone dramatic political shifts, starting from the late Hugo Chavez era, which saw widespread social programs alongside a consolidation of state power, to the contested presidency of Nicolas Maduro following Chavez's death. Maduro's tenure has been marked by increasingly strained relations with the United States and other Western nations. Severe economic crises, hyperinflation, shortages of basic necessities, and the emigration of millions of Venezuelans seeking better opportunities abroad. Against this backdrop, any unusual military activity, such as the current low-flying aircraft and unexplained explosions in Caracas, takes on a heightened significance, triggering domestic fear and drawing international scrutiny. Eyewitness reports suggest that explosions occurred across multiple districts of Caracas simultaneously, indicating that these were not isolated incidents, but rather coordinated events. Security forces have reportedly increased their presence at major government buildings, military installations, and strategic infrastructure points. Although independent verification remains difficult due to restrictions on press access and heightened state surveillance, the uncertainty surrounding the cause of the blast has intensified public anxiety as residents question whether these events represent an internal military exercise, an attempt to demonstrate the government's control over the capital, or a warning of a more significant underlying threat, either domestic or international. Internationally, the incident has prompted swift reactions from governments and experts monitoring Venezuela's ongoing political and economic instability. Historically, Caracas has been a focal point for tensions between the Venezuelan government and external actors, most notably the United States, which has imposed sanctions on government officials, supported opposition movements, and repeatedly criticized Maduro's administration for alleged authoritarian practices and human rights abuses. While the U.S. government has not commented directly on today's events, the international community is closely observing the situation, aware that Venezuela's instability could have far-reaching consequences across Latin America and beyond. Analysts point out that even a minor military miscalculation or localized conflict in Caracas has the potential to escalate rapidly, given the country's complex internal divisions and the strategic importance of its resources, particularly its vast oil reserves. The military aspect of this incident is particularly noteworthy. Venezuela maintains one of the largest and most organized military forces in Latin America, with significant influence over national governance. The presence of low-flying aircraft suggests either an organized military maneuver or an unplanned response to a perceived threat. Historically, Caracas has seen military operations conducted openly to assert government authority, deter opposition movements, or respond to foreign threats, and today's events appear to fit into this broader pattern of strategic displays of power. Military analysts suggest that these explosions could serve multiple purposes: signaling internal cohesion, deterring dissent, or sending a message to foreign governments observing Venezuela's volatile political landscape. The economic implications of today's events cannot be overstated. Venezuela holds the largest proven oil reserves in the world, making the stability of its infrastructure and government critical not just domestically, but for global energy markets. Any indication of conflict or instability in Caracas, particularly near key oil facilities, could affect crude prices, investor confidence, and supply chains across the Americas. Coupled with the ongoing humanitarian crisis and widespread economic hardship affecting millions of Venezuelans, the explosions add a layer of uncertainty to an already precarious situation, potentially exacerbating social unrest and driving further immigration. Beyond economics, today's events have raised concerns about the humanitarian impact on Caracas residents. Reports indicate that neighborhoods near the explosions experienced power outages, roadblocks, and heightened military presence, affecting daily life and mobility. Emergency services appear to be stretched thin, responding to incidents of panic, injuries, and the potential risk of further explosions. Social media continues to play a critical role in disseminating real-time information, as citizens share images, videos, and updates from different parts of the capital, but also contributing to confusion and the spread of unverified claims, emphasizing the challenge of separating fact from speculation in the midst of a developing crisis. The regional geopolitical context adds yet another dimension to these events. Venezuela's neighbors, including Colombia, Brazil, and the Caribbean states, have consistently monitored the country's stability, aware that sudden escalations in Caracas could have cross-border implications, from refugee flows to security concerns. Diplomatic channels are reportedly active, with regional leaders expressing concern over the explosions and emphasizing the need for restraint, dialogue, and transparency. The Organization of American States and the United Nations have previously urged all parties in Venezuela to prioritize civilian safety and maintain communication, and today's developments are likely to prompt renewed calls for international mediation and oversight. Political opposition figures within Venezuela have used the incident to criticize the government's lack of transparency and responsiveness. They argue that the public deserves immediate, clear information regarding the safety of civilians and the reasons behind the explosions. Meanwhile, pro-government sources caution against spreading rumors or unverified reports, framing the events as part of a larger information warfare campaign aimed at destabilizing the nation. This interplay of competing narratives underscores the broader challenge faced by the country: maintaining governance and public trust amid ongoing crises, internal dissent, and international scrutiny. Looking at the broader international angle, today's explosions may have implications for global strategic calculations. Countries invested in Latin America's stability, including the U.S., European nations, and regional powers, will be monitoring developments closely, assessing whether this incident signals a shift in Venezuela's internal dynamics or presents a risk of escalation. Analysts note that Venezuela has historically served as a geopolitical chessboard where domestic events intersect with regional and global interests, and today's explosions may be interpreted as a new chapter in this ongoing narrative. The uncertainty surrounding the cause, scope, and implications highlights a central reality in modern geopolitics: that sudden events, even if initially local, can quickly acquire global significance, affecting diplomacy, markets, and strategic planning. As of now, no conclusive explanation has emerged, leaving several key questions unanswered. Were the explosions a military exercise, an internal security operation, an accident, or a signal of potential unrest or foreign intervention? Will this incident trigger heightened security measures across the capital and other Venezuelan cities? How will the government balance transparency with maintaining authority and control? And perhaps most importantly,
which
how
you
will the
would,
international
if
community
you were
respond
certainly if you were on the
if
government
further
side, you would
developments
want the
escalate
government
tensions
and
or
perhaps
affect
the military
regional
high
stability?
command?
The answers to these questions will shape not only Venezuela's immediate future, but also the broader geopolitical landscape of Latin America. In conclusion, today's explosions in Caracas represent a significant moment in Venezuela's ongoing political, economic, and social challenges. The combination of unexplained detonations, low-flying aircraft, and the government's initial silence underscores the fragile and complex environment in which the country operates. Analysts, journalists, and international observers will continue to monitor events closely, seeking clarity amidst uncertainty. For Venezuelans living in Caracas, the blasts are a reminder of the precariousness of daily life in a city where politics, economics, and security are deeply intertwined. and where sudden shocks can ripple outward with profound consequences. Globally, today's developments highlight the importance of vigilance, accurate reporting, and measured analysis, as moments of crisis can rapidly become defining events with both local and international ramifications.